or welcome to Live the Wildlife. You know, Ernie, since this show started, I got to travel to some pretty amazing places. One that'll always stick out in my mind will be Argentina.
Yeah, I saw that footage, and it's just amazing, the culture over there.
You know, we got to spend time on the Chilean border, up in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. It was just incredible. So stay tuned. We have a great episode coming up. Recently at an SDI show, I was given the opportunity to go down to Argentina and hunt red stag with my bow. Now what I found out was they had never taken a stag at this camp with a bow, but I was definitely willing to give it a try.
It's the heart and drive of a true adventure hunter. Gus Congemi is always willing to take on a challenge. First, red stag with a bow, hunting with Dean Grieve of JDG Hunting Services. But first, it's a bit of travel. New York to Houston, then Houston to Buenos Aires, with a planned layover for a bit of vacation time. A 3-night stay in Buenos Aires.
And I'm going to say 3 wild nights, because we just hit restaurant after restaurant, pubs. We had a great time meeting the South American people, really got a feel for the Argentinian culture. Well, after 3 nights in Buenos Aires, we took a flight to Bariloche, which is in the northern Patagonia region. We had a 5.5-hour ride to camp.
When a hunter is planning a trip to Argentina, it's not just the hunt, it's the experience of the country. And one way for Gus to experience that is during his 5-hour drive to camp. The North Patagonia region is mountainous with lakes and trout streams around every turn. Beautiful landscapes. This scenery makes the 5-hour drive fly by for Gus and his hunting party.
Well, we were on a paved road for about 4 hours, then we were on a dirt road for a while, and then we were driving the Jeep through some trails. We got to our base camp. It was in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. It was just spectacular. I couldn't wait to get this hunt started.
Once Gus has arrived at camp, he gets his briefing on his hunt that's to come, and has a chance to meet some of the other adventure-bound hunters who have also traveled a long way to hunt with JDG Hunting Services.
This week, we're in Red Stag Camp in Argentina. We're in Junín de los Andes is the closest city. We're about 15 miles from the Chile border in the province of Neuquén. So this week, I've got Gus Congemi in camp. He brought his good friend Eric Fuso, and then also Bobby Serrano is in hunting with us.
We arrived here in Argentina. This is our base camp. We got our gear unpacked, took a few shots, made sure the bow was on. Packing up and saddling the horses now, heading out to a spike camp for a few days, and we get on the stags.
JDG's main outpost is in the foothills of the mountainous region of the Andes Mountains. And to get to where these stag are, it means heading into the hills for a few days. These horses will take Gus and the hunting party to a spike camp. It'll be a few hours on horseback.
So we're heading out to spike camp now. Got the horses all saddled, getting our gear together. Weather's a little warmer than we need. Hopefully it cools down. I'm looking forward to the rest of this week.
John Wayne.
John Wayne. My company's based in Illinois, but we actually hunt all over the world. This week we happen to be in the province of Neuquén, Argentina. We're hunting red stag. We come over for 3 weeks of red stag hunting. Normally bring in 3 groups of 4 people, so it's not a high pressured area to hunt in. We have a cabin located there with running water, hot showers, flush toilets, and then we also have a spike camp. It's about a 2.5 hour horseback ride from our base camp.
When Live the Wildlife continues, Gus is set up at Spike Camp and heading out to hunt his Argentina red stag. That and more when we return. Portions of Live the Wildlife are being brought to you by Dead Downwind, Nikon, Darton, Bob Vitro's True Life Taxidermy, Silent Predator Clothing, Square Vision Productions, Ameristep, Interlock, Gold Tip, High Country Archery, Bullseye Archery in Cheyenne, Wyoming, Trophy Taker, Thrill of the Hunt Productions, Archer's Addiction, and by Trigger Time Gun Club. Portions of Live the Wildlife are being brought to you by Dead Downwind. Welcome back to Live the Wildlife. We're in beautiful red stag country in Argentina. There's no doubt that the Andes Mountains are beautiful, and also the location for this hunt. Set up at a spike camp, Gus will have 3 days to hunt in the mountain region. And then if no stag is harvested in the high country, he'll also have another few days near the main JDG outpost. The primitive hunting environment of Spike Camp sets the stage for Gus's adventure hunt.
In this area, we're right in the foothills of the Andes Mountains, so we're going on foot and by horseback. And all of our stag here are wild stag, free ranging. There's no fences, just a few corrals to keep the horses in. Other than that, there's nothing to keep them here.
The free-range stag in the Andes Mountains can be seen feeding and bedding along the ridges and grazing in the low bottoms that lie between the rolling hills. The technique is glass, spot and stalk, and play the wind to get in close.
We spent a lot of time glassing, looking for stag. The roar wasn't on yet, but this was one of those trips where you really didn't need to harvest an animal to really be a better person for the experience.
That sound of the roar is one that'll stop a hunter in his tracks. Just as the rut, it's a time of the year when the stag are in search of an annual mate. With the stag not in this phase, it's making the hunt that much more difficult and having to get in close to a roaring stag. With a stag spotted, Gus and his guide attempt to close the distance.
At this point, we thought we'd set up off a heavily used trail, try to ambush a stag that was going out to feed. It was going to be a long shot, but we were ready for it.
Gus has attempted to get close for 3 days to stag in this high country with his bow, with no success. Still with a tag burning a hole in his pocket, Gus decides to make a change and use his rifle.
I think one of the reasons why no one's ever harvested a stag here with a bow was that the terrain is so open. I think your best bet might be to set up on a water hole or possibly a wallow or some place that the stags are using, get in there in the dark and sit it out all day, sort of like a whitetail hunt.
We're in a very unique area of Argentina. Right here in our camp, we have 15,000 private, non-fenced acres, surrounded by approximately another 100,000 acres of all free-ranging wild stag.
The exciting thing for hunting a stag is hearing the roar and going after the stag, but the terrain here is so open. I think these stags pick you up before you can get on them. Maybe during the roar when it's hot and heavy, if you do catch those days, you might have a chance of stalking in and getting a shot. And although the bow wasn't working out on this trip was so worth being there. Just spending time with the people, getting to see the landscape. It's just one of these trips I'll never forget.
When Live the Wildlife continues, Gus heads out of the high country and back to the outpost.
I didn't see him come out of those trees. I think if I get out to that opening over there, I can get a shot.
That and more when we return. Portions of Live the Wildlife are being brought to you by Nikon.
I'd like to take a moment and talk to you about a product that I use and believe in, Dead Downwind. I've used Dead Downwind since they first came on the market, and since then, they've really expanded their product line to cover everything in scent prevention. I was first drawn to Dead Downwind because they use an enzyme scent prevention. It's not harmful to your skin. You could apply it directly on your skin. I found that other products where they say they kill human bacteria, they also say don't have contact with your skin. It didn't make much sense to me. I use all their products, from their laundry soap to their personal hygiene to all their field sprays. I believe in Dead Downwind, and I wouldn't go in the field without it.
Welcome back to Live the Wildlife. We're hunting in northern Argentina with Gus Congemi. He's in pursuit of a red stag. Gus has been in the high country for the last 3 days with a bow, with no luck. With time running out on his 5-day hunt, Gus has decided to change up his hunting tactic.
Well, on our last day of the hunt, we took the rifle thinking that would give us the best chance to harvest the stag. And on our way out, we did hear some roars that morning. So we dismounted from the horses, started climbing down, went down some ravines, up some mountains.
Gus and his guide have been following the sound of a roaring stag since daybreak. Weaving in and out of the brush and along hillsides and rocky ledges, they're closing the distance. Not knowing how big this stag is, Gus is approaching with anticipation. The wind is in their favor as they circle around towards the roaring stag. If things go Gus's way, they'll be close enough to put the crosshairs on this thing.
We got to the edge of this plateau. I start crossing the plateau. I see the stag.
That deer's in that little drawer, that little valley. I didn't see him come out of those trees. I think if I get out to that opening over there, I can get a shot. If he steps out. All right, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna try to set up.
Stalking up to a better vantage point, Gus prepares to take aim on a nice shooter. When Live the Wildlife continues, the distance is closed, and it's time for Gus to react. Then later, we'll take a look into the culture of Argentina. Portions of Live the Wildlife are being brought to you by Dead Downwind, Nikon, Darton, Bob Vitro's True Life Taxidermy, Silent Predator Clothing, Square Vision Productions, Ameristep, Interlock, Gold Tip, High Country Archery, Bullseye Archery in Cheyenne, Wyoming, Trophy Taker, Thrill of the Hunt Productions, Archer's Addiction, and by Trigger Time Gun Club. Welcome back to Live the Wildlife. After 3 days of hard hunting and spike camp in the high country, and now his last day hunting in the foothills of the Andes,
I think if I get out to that opening over there, I can get a shot. If he steps out.
Gus has finally closed the distance with rifle in hand on a nice shooter red stag.
I drop down, get a rest. I have him ranged. He's at 317 yards. Dean is now to the side of me, and I can't tell if he's on him with the camera or if he's seen him yet. Dean couldn't move because we were afraid that we would spook the stag, so this is one of those situations, just confusion in the field. I waited till the last possible second. The stag started walking away, got up on top of this hill. I took the shot, and it wound up being that Dean did get the footage.
I couldn't wait anymore. I had to shoot. Man. Were you on him? Do you know if you were on him? All right, go check it out. I just couldn't wait. He started going away. I had to take the shot. Yeah, Walter, I think he came out of the trees here. From here, I think I shot up here maybe, and he went this way. Here. There's blood here, Dean. Walter, blood. There's good blood here. Goes up this way. Blood. There, right there. There he is. Oh man. Walter! Oh, my man! Oh wow. Check this out. Woo! Well, it's the middle of March. We're here in Argentina on the border of Chile. It's northern Patagonia, the foothills of the Andes Mountains. I had a bow most of the week, and the stags weren't cooperating. The weather was warm. They weren't roaring. This morning we decided to go with a firearm. It's the last day of the hunt. We're leaving in the morning. Came in dark on horseback. Heard the stags roar. Got on one, made a shot from one side of a mountain to the other. I'm not a rifle hunter, so that's something really, that's an accomplishment for me. But this is just fantastic. I never thought this was going to happen, just the way the weather was. So I can't be happier with it than with this.
After 5 days of hard hunting, it's always a pleasure to pack an animal out. Gus and his hunting party have successfully harvested a nice, mature Argentinian free-range red stag. The memories being made well exceed their expectations. Whether with a bow or a rifle, every hunt is special in its own way. And for Gus, the challenge of hunting with a rifle is greater than hunting with his more familiar archery gear. This is a hunt to remember.
We were all excited after the hunt. You know, I got my stag, everything was great. Spent some time back at base camp with the gauchos. We'd sit around the fire, drink this mate tea. It's an herbal tea.
We're here back at base camp in Argentina. We're drinking a traditional Argentinian drink. It's called a mate. It's like an herbal tea. Most of the gauchos, when they come in, or the guides after a hunt, they come back and discuss the day's activities.
It's a traditional infusion that here in the Pampas in Patagonia, Argentina, we have. And it's basically ground leaves, dry leaves. It's got a lot of caffeine in it. And it's a very practical way to share a moment, share information either after or before a hunting party, an outing. And we do this between 2 and 3 times a day. This is a special moment, relaxing. People get together, share information, and have a good time.
While here in Argentina, the experience wouldn't be complete without the asado, or barbecue. And the meat of choice is the chivito, or baby goat. If you've never had this meal, it's one to remember. Hunting in a country like Argentina is one a hunter will never forget. The land, the culture, and the hospitality of the folks who live there.
They really have an understanding for life. I mean, we're up in this rustic cabin up in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, and I just had one of the best times I ever had on a hunt. On this trip, my buddy Rick Affuso ended up taking the best stag of the week. And 2 weeks later, my friend Bob Corderone from Safari Specialty Importers took this fantastic stag. Well, thank you for watching. I had a great experience in Argentina. I met some fantastic people, had a great hunt, and I'm definitely want to get back there and try it again with the bow. Remember to get out, experience the outdoors, and whenever you can, live the wildlife.
Next week on Live the Wildlife.
Next week, we'll actually be hunting antelope on the eastern plains of Colorado.
Oh, it just sounds wild, Ernie. You know, I've been traveling out west for 15 years, and I'm jealous that you get to walk out your backyard.
Oh man, and what's even better, I get to take my family along. There's a lot of action on this next episode.
It sounds great.
So tune in next week for another awesome adventure.
Closed caption is being brought to you by Darden Archery. Special thanks to outfitters and hunting locations and affiliates seen on today's show. For more information regarding the locations and destinations, please contact them direct and experience the wildlife.